the mighty Melbourne Storm, right here on the one and only wide world of sports.
Hello and thanks for joining us live to a very wet Marathon Stadium for this NRL second round clash which sees the reigning premiers, the Melbourne Storm, up against the Newcastle Knights. Both teams come into this game somewhat surprisingly chasing their first win. Both teams went down in round one, Auckland too strong for Melbourne, while the Northern Eagles knocked over Newcastle. Once again joining us on the Channel 9 commentary team, former premiership coach Phil Gould, and Gus, two quality lineups tonight. The highlight really the clash of the halves, Johns and Kamali. How do you see this one?
Yeah, I think most of the experts are looking at the clash of the halves. Important game for both sides tonight. A little disappointed they lost in round one. The fact that they moved a win to start the season will add a lot of spice to this game. The conditions too, wet and slippery, will have a big effect on this game.
And the coaches have acted accordingly to last week's losses. A couple of minor changes.
Yeah, just some minor changes to the starting lineups, a little bit of rotation, I guess, which we'll see a lot of during the season. McDougall, the fullback for Newcastle. Albert and Tahu on the wings, Gidley and Hughes in the centres, Johns and Johns, the all-important half combination, Peden, Kennedy and Peter Shields in the back row, Fairley, Badiris and Butterfield in the front row, strong interchange bench, Parsons, Simpsons, Rudder and Grief, replacements Fletcher and Beckett, coached by Warren Ryan. The Melbourne Storm, Ross at fullback, Guy and Bai on the wings, Rule and Martin in the centres, Hill and Kamali, a big job on their hands tonight, Rua, Kearney, Marquette, Kearns, Swain and Howe. On the bench, Williams, Evans, Bowden and Lavia. The replacement, Watson, Roddy. And the Australian coach, Chris Anderson, coaches the Melbourne Storm.
And still a very difficult week for Melbourne, losing one of their own in their football manager, Mike Moore. How difficult for the team to come up tonight after what they've experienced?
Extremely difficult, Peter. Things like this are never any good, and they do affect your football. Really, till you turn up and play, you don't know how much. It's a week I think the Melbourne Storm would like to see the back of. Tonight's a very important part of the healing process to get out and actually play, and best of luck to them.
Well, providing our sideline eye tonight, Andrew Voss and one of Newcastle's favourite sons, Paul Harragon. And Vossy, we only need to look back to last year's clash as an indication of what we can expect tonight.
Well, that's 100% right, Sterlo. Yes, a thriller when these two clubs met at Marathon Stadium last year. At the end of 80 minutes, it was only an Andrew Johns field goal that was the difference between the sides. The Knights won on that Saturday night by 27 points to 26. Well, to counter that, there's some rumblings in the press today about problems at Newcastle. Reports of somewhat of a crisis meeting between the coach and the players during the week. Who better to ask them, the chief, Paul Harragon? What is the story?
That's right. Nice Chairman Michael Hill had a meeting with the players earlier on this week to discuss if there was any problems. From my mind, it's hard to believe that after 1 week of rugby league there can be too many problems, but having said that, I think it's imperative the Knights win tonight to squash all those rumours.
There's no other way to sum up the Knights' performance last week then, disappointing against the Northern Eagles. What have you been able to put your finger on for such a flat performance first up?
I thought it was rusty too, and I think probably the reason behind that was most of the backs didn't play any trials, particularly the Johnsies didn't play any trials, so they'd be better off for the run. I think the Knights can win against a very emotional Melbourne Storm tonight.
Well, I'm going to differ with Paul Harragon, Peter. I'm going to go for a Melbourne Storm victory, the premiers to notch their first win for 2000.
Well, that makes it 1-1 on the sidelines. Which way are you going, Phil?
Yeah, a couple of factors for me, Peter. The hard week that Melbourne have had with the loss of their manager, and also the fact that it's a home game for the Knights, their first of the season. That's usually enough to tip or to sway a close game on Newcastle Knights tonight.
I'll go the Knights as well, mainly because I think they have this superior kicking game. Matthew and Andrew Johns in these conditions, all important. We'll take a break now and be back live to Marathon for the kick-off, the Storm up against the Knights.